Alright, time for another trashphysics.com or debatephysics.com. You can choose. Video presentation. Yes, talking about energy in the elemental form in physics and this stupid circumstance where physics says there's a duality, that there's two energy theorems. One is momentum that's supposed to always be conserved, and the other is kinetic energy, with some people like Professor Lewin say, nature can finagle it. Okay, but it can't finagle momentum. But it doesn't make much sense, right? So light things going fast are supposed to have a lot more energy than slow things being big. Yeah, big things, heavy things. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, what the hell was that? There's always something, Not having a very good day. Well, that's not what we're looking for either. I believe this is it. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, God, it's always something. Anyway, so Ian Gosling is doing a simple lever experiment where you take the same force, apply it to a 2 mass, and apply it to a 1 mass, and the idea is the 1 mass is going to go twice the velocity, the 2 mass goes 1 velocity. You conserve the momentum, but you make extra kinetic energy because the 1 mass going 2 velocity is 4 times the energy, which is not good. Twice as much energy as the other circumstance. And he's doing it in gravity, which isn't great, but whatever. Alright, so I'm at a point in the video. He's conceding, oh yeah, well, it's going a lot further. 3 plus is a lot more than 2. Or if I was to give them the benefit of the doubt, since they think, they think a 1 mass is 1 energy. And if I take exactly the same thing and I put it on a scale next to it, this is 3 energies. So even if we say the 1 plus half of 3, or 0.4 of 3, which would be 1.4, then you could go 1 plus 1.4 is 2.4, and but 2.4 still isn't enough. It's way short of the 3 plus, okay, that you're getting. So anyway, so he's conceding there's a problem, and he's coming up with dopey explanations. So he's at a point, okay, where he's, alright, so I'll draw this part, I guess. This one goes, yeah, that's it. Alright, and, it's interesting enough, this is all stuff that apparently, physics doesn't teach. So we have to do it and learn it by doing it. So nothing wrong with that entirely. So here's your fulcrum. So he's at this point where he's launching the 1 mass over here. Okay. And what he does is he puts a mass on here. Okay. A 1 mass. All right. To balance. Now it isn't really balanced as it demonstrates. He says, oh, it's balanced, but obviously it isn't quite balanced. And that's something he should have done originally to prove that he's got these distances correct, was he should have put a 2 mass here or a 1 mass there, and then shown that if he puts a 2 mass here, okay, or he puts a 1 mass here, that the lever stays balanced. All right, but he didn't do that. And obviously when he did this part, it didn't stay balanced. So, he just said close enough. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not part of this point. The point is now he's saying that this 1 mass creates energy. It helps turn the lever. So if I put a 1 mass on this side, and then I have a spring, okay, and I'm going to pull this lever down with the spring. I'm going to push it up and then let it swing down. That the extra mass I put on here will actually help because of gravity. And the problem with that theory is that no, it's not even close. The speeds are so different. So in gravity, you drop at a rate of 22 miles per hour, I think it is. I think so. 9.8 meters in 1 second. And in that 1 second, you only travel 4.9 meters. So your average velocity over that period. But clearly you're going 9.8, but it takes a full second, and this spring is going to move these things much faster than that. So the fall of gravity, if I was to take a one mass and let it move the lever, it would only move this object 1 centimeter. So it would only add 1 centimeter of height. Okay, that's all, 1 centimeter. So it's going many inches. You could say it's going 1.5 feet. And adding or subtracting 1 centimeter isn't going to make much difference. And that's all the gravitational energy you're getting this way is 1 centimeter worth. So it's less than that actually because of how little time you're in gravity again. So the spring is pulling with a much faster velocity. So you can sort of understand it that if something was falling at 22 miles an hour and you pushed it at 100 miles an hour, right, you would be making up the difference between the 100 and the 22. Let's just say it was 20. So you were pushing 80 miles an hour worth of extra energy. And so the same thing is happening here. The spring is now having to move this mass. So it's actually costing it energy because it's moving it faster than the gravity. So it has to apply 80% more energy. So that's why the one mass, instead of going 3.5 or 4, okay, it only goes 2 point something. This is because essentially you've cut the energy in half by minus 20%, because now you're having to push a second mass. So not only do you have to push this mass at, say, 80 miles an hour, you have to push this mass at 80 miles an hour. So it's not helping you at all. You're moving, now you've got twice the momentum you're moving, and mass you're moving. And you're moving it faster than the gravity can move it, and therefore you're using your energy to move it. You're not using gravitational energy to move it because you're going faster than the free fall rate of the object. So you can't gain anything from it, barely gain anything from it. And you have to apply energy to move it. So it's essentially the same thing as doubling the mass. You're just adding, it's not doubling, so some number short of doubling, 80% of doubling, something like that. Damn ants in here. Little flying bastards. Anyway, tiny little things. Evolution and such. Alright, so we'll go back to the video and continue. So this is where he's arguing that I have to somehow explain again. And see, it's pushing. And, well, if it was pushing, let's say you put a mass on the other side of the lever and it's going to push it the same amount for the two mass as the one mass. So it can't change anything about the experiment. The relative difference would be still the same. So just as you made the one mass fly higher, if you put the two mass on, it's going to go a lot less high too. Because you're consuming the same amount of extra energy by having to move the one mass twice the velocity.
Now it launches much higher.
Right, because you're not pushing an extra piece of mass. So when he had the extra mass on over here, this end of the lever, he put a one mass on here. And his argument was that one mass is helping. But no, the one mass is still mass that has to be moved at a very fast velocity. The spring is very fast. It's making the thing go twice the velocity very quickly. In reality, it would take 2 seconds to go twice the velocity at the free fall rate.
Counterintuitive, eh?
So whatever that is, it's no. It's for you it is. And you didn't demonstrate anything here, so it's just so bizarre that he's using this as some sort of explanation when put the two mass on and you'll see that it goes half as high as before too. Moron.
Now let's think about this. Forgive me, I might not be able to explain this very well, but
No, you're not going to be explaining anything. So why don't you just link to a video that explains it? Why don't you show me a college professor or a high school professor, somebody teaching physics who says this crap you're saying, okay? Who says the law of the lever doesn't work and you don't have to conserve momentum. That when a lever doesn't conserve momentum. Okay, show me the physics instructor who says that. Levers don't conserve momentum. The same force, and I can get two different momentums out of it on the other side. That's what you're contending, and I'm saying no physicist I've seen says that happens.
I'll do my best. Before, I'd only balance this lever. Without the weights on it, I'd balance the lever itself. That's not good enough.
No, that's pretty much exactly what you want to do. Because once it's balanced, you know, it doesn't matter where the mass is. It doesn't matter whether it's at the end or the shortest part. It doesn't matter that you have, in fact, are going to create the same emotional momentum, okay, with those masses. They're even. That's what balancing means, is that it's the same amount of energy to move this side of the lever as it is to move that side of the lever. And it doesn't matter whether one side is heavy close to the fulcrum and one side is heavy far away from the fulcrum. It doesn't matter. If it balances, it means it's going to be using the same amount of energy for any motion.
Because when I put this mass here, or the other one here...
The trick is the spring is also highly loaded when the objects are not moving. That is, when the lever, he should have the spring set so the lever runs out of energy when it reaches this flat part. It should be very, very untense, very little energy in the spring when it's at its maximum. That will mean that the spring gave away all of its, or 90% of most of its energy, moving the lever to that distance, and it doesn't have any more potential. It wasn't going to go faster. You want to catch it when it's used most all of its force.
I needed to have a balance in exactly the same place.
No, you don't. So that's just nonsense. Wrong again.
To balance this weight, not the lever. And that would require a mass, and we'd put it...
No, if you put the one mass down at this end and the two mass here, it will balance. That, again, these experiments have already been done. I did them on my porch. It's just ludicrous for you to argue that somehow one mass, 4 units of distance isn't the same as one mass, a 4 mass, 1 unit of distance. They are the same. Same energy to move them. Same inertia.
I wasn't balancing the mass resting on the lever. And the same with that one. I was only balancing...
So you can't, the balancing thing doesn't work. Any extra weight you add to the lever, okay, is just more weight the lever has to move at a velocity. And that's it. So if you add weight to the other side, you've just made the lever heavier, and it's going to require more energy to move it.
Balancing the lever itself. And what that meant was the moment of inertia.
So more nonsense. There's no moment of inertia that has anything to do with this at all. It's not a thing. All right, angular momentum is all there is here. There's motions, there's mass, moving velocity. And wheel balancing proves it. The lever proves it. The balance scales prove it. That's how it works. The law of the lever is sound, and you're talking shit. As usual, you're deceiving and confusing the subject.
That the lever experienced was different in the two cases.
So he never proved any of that different thing, okay? The fact is the lever moved exactly the same speed with the one mass on or the two mass on at the half the location. It moved the same speed. The one mass went one velocity. The one mass went, twice the velocity. The two mass went half that velocity. That's what actually took place. If we had a decent camera, you'd see that's what took place. Just like in Brozo's experiment.
We was unfairly biasing the one mass at two distance, as we've just shown.
So how is it unfairly biased? So you didn't show anything because you didn't put the two mass on at one distance with the one mass still on the other side and demonstrate that it lost half its energy too. You didn't demonstrate that, but that's actually what will happen. Exactly the same thing will happen. You'll lose 80%. You'll lose 40% of the velocity because now you're moving twice. You need twice the momentum because you've added an object that requires another unit of momentum to move.
I don't know. It probably didn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have anything to do with physics. It doesn't have anything to do with standard physics. It doesn't have anything to do with really the argument. You're just playing silly games. So instead of explaining how you concede, yes, it doesn't take 25 times the fuel to spin a motor 5 times as fast. That is nonsense. There's got to be some other explanation for this thing because, yes, that is baby talk and nonsense, and you know it's not true. But instead of conceding that there's something wrong with this physics they're teaching, you just keep doing this bullshit to try to prove the Holy Ghost exists. And it's just bullshit.
But it's all to do with this. It's a rotating body, and it has an...
Again, rotation doesn't matter. Gears prove that. All kinds of mechanisms prove rotation doesn't matter. It's about where a mass is and how fast is it moving on a wheel. That's why how they balance a wheel, right? You know what wheel balancing is. You put a little lead weight, okay, on the wheel to balance for the tire's disproportionate weights. And the fact is, you put a little mass here, okay, or it's always got to be on the same rim, and you're just compensating for a little mass difference on the outside by putting a heavy mass on the inside, closer to the fulcrum. That's all you're doing, and you know it.
Inertia, called the moment of inertia of a rotating mass.
So again, there's no moment of inertia doesn't mean anything. Inertia doesn't mean anything. The physicists say it's twice the inertia to move twice the mass. So quit pretending it's twice the inertia to move half the mass. There's no twice the force required to move a lighter object. That's not a theory anywhere. Now clearly it's an implication of their nonsense, but they never say it. So until you can show one of them saying it, you're just lying about what physics says, because physicists don't say it.
And that is what needed to be.
They say you have to conserve momentum. That's the simple truth, and you just keep lying.
Doubled.
Now, take a pause. He's pausing, I might as well pause. Alright, back. So, continuing.
The one mass two distances was going too high because the moment of inertia of the system, the weight and the lever combined, was too low because it didn't have a weight out here.
So, just nonsense. Both of them were under the same conditions. The spring has to cause momentum in the entire lever, of course. And all you're doing is moving a mass from a position where it will require the same momentum to move it. A half mass, twice the velocity, same momentum as the full mass at half the velocity. Okay, that's it. So it's the law of the lever stands. It's just bullshit. Brozo's experiment didn't need another thing on it, and obviously it came out with the same results, but there's no... If you do the two mass... All right, so what he's not doing to prove his own theory wrong is put the two mass on and see how much you lose in terms of how far it goes, and you'll see it goes way less also, because you've taken the force out of the spring, because you're using the force the spring would have had to move the extra mass quickly. Twice the velocity, actually, of the original mass, and a velocity that's much higher than the velocity of free fall. And therefore, again, the free fall velocity you would add with that mass would be 1 centimeter to the distances you're flipping. So obviously 1 centimeter in a foot is pretty meaningless.
It didn't have a balance weight out here.
So he's going to do the same thing again. He's going to put the weight back on the outside, and he's not going to flip the two mass. I mean, just such bullshit.
We're all learning.
No, I'm learning, I'm teaching, and you're just a lying fraud. Okay. And again, it's all a lie because you know. I mean, I'm just saying, he knows it. There's no way in fucking hell it takes 25 times the gasoline to drive 50 miles an hour than 10 miles an hour. He knows that's not true. He knows it's not even close to true. He knows it's nowhere near true. He knows, yeah, it's about actually you save a little bit of gas and you might use just 4 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. He knows that's the fucking truth, and he just keeps defending this nonsense theory. He also knows that if 8-pound bowling balls going twice as fast could knock down twice as many pins, that he knows professional bowlers would be able to figure it out.
I'll get up, you bastard. Right. It's not perfectly balanced, but the point is we can...
So say it's not perfectly balanced, right. So it's a lot heavier than the other weight, actually. So he doesn't have a balance. Oh, he's just, all of these defects, and they just let's just do the experiment as sloppy as possible, just about, and fuck it up. And that's the whole strategy. Let's not have any straight lines. Let's put a line on here, and you have lines in the background. You have all this. It's all just such bullshit.
Before, without this balance weight, balancing the lever and the weight, it was going up to 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, but going past 3, again, that would be the honest thing to say. And clearly the two mass was only going to 1. And so if you put the fucking 2 mass on here, you'll see it goes a lot less than 1. Fucking tard.
1, 2, 3. Now we've added inertia to the mass complete.
You've added mass that has to be moved at twice the velocity. And it doesn't matter that it's going in the same direction as gravity because it's pushing at a much higher velocity than gravity would be. The free fall speed of gravity is much slower than the speed that piece of metal is going to move.
So this shouldn't go as high because the spring can't accelerate it.
No, this is bullshit. It can't go as high because the spring can't accelerate because you're using up the energy to accelerate another piece of metal. Moron.
This is what we see. It's getting about here now. 2 up. Which is what we were looking for before, wasn't it?
Right, so put the 2 mass on and you'll see it goes half up. Will he do it? Will he do this simple little thing? Put the 2 mass on there now and see what you get, moron. Will he do it? No, it's not going to happen. Because he's too fucking stupid. And he's too dishonest.
Bearing in mind we've got the parallax error. Just over the 2 line.
He's saying, okay, there's parallax error. I don't buy it. The camera appears to be in line with one of these lines here, okay? When you look at the rod, you can see the top of it, so you know the camera must be above that rod. All right, so it's got to be almost even with that second line, frankly.
which is what
I mean, you can see the top of that little rod, which means, okay, the camera has to be above that or you couldn't see it. So the camera is pretty much in line with this thing, so it's going over the line, clearly.
1.4, the velocity. Now we're getting, thank God.
So it's not going to be 1.4 the velocity of the 2 mass. So if he puts the 2 mass back on there, the 2 mass is going to go way slower, okay, just as much slower as the 1 mass. It's the same exact deficit in the total force. The same amount of force is being used to push the other mass. You're losing the same amount of energy in both experiments, and you will not be going 1.4 the velocity, you lying sack of shit.
God, we're getting to the truth of how nature works.
No, so just more bullshit, more shenanigans, more cheating, more I don't care about rules, I don't care about principles, I don't care about all the stuff the physicists actually say. I'm just going to make up this fake crap, okay, to tell this fake story defending this fake religion.
It's much lower than it was before. Now what about this mess?
There you go. Okay, good. Now he's going to see the truth.
Mass.
2 mass. Don't change anything. No. No. Don't do that. No. Don't do any of that. No. Leave the 1 mass out there because the 1 mass is the same as putting the 2 mass there. Same thing. Moron. You didn't want to do that. Mistake.
Be balanced. Wasn't balancing the combined weight and lever system before. It didn't have enough moment of inertia on the half mass 2 distance.
So he's only putting a 1 mass here, right? So he just took the 1 mass off the end, and now he's putting the 1 mass in the 2 mass position. Moron. Yeah, look, no second one. He put a 1 mass in the 2 mass position. He can't do anything right or honest.
Was it? No.
And I can't figure out what screw to put it on. Will he show that balances? No. We won't see any. There'll be no hope that they'll show us that balancing, right? So 1 mass on a 2 mass, that's not going to balance.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Nearly balanced.
Okay, there you go. Now, what do you really think the 2 mass is going to go the same velocity as it went before, huh? Okay.
Good enough to show the difference now.
Yeah, way below the line now. Way below. And look, I mean, this parallax crap only goes so far, right? He's saying this is aligned with this. Yeah, bullshit it is. Bullshit.
Yeah. That's good.
So yes, it's going, all right, it's going higher than half, but I'm just saying that's only because you have way too much tension in the spring. But regardless, we're not going to go into all that crap. And we don't know where these lines are.
Going up to this line.
It's not going up to the line, so bullshit.
Nearly.
Bullshit.
This is showing. Now we're getting the 1.4.
No, you're not. So you didn't demonstrate any of that. You're just such a cheater. Oh, it's just amazing.
Twice the height, 1.4. More nearly. And it's because of that moment.
Yeah, no, it's not more nearly. It's just such, So go compare the 2 videos, all right? And again, we have to rely on these shitty lines. These lines are crap. This unit of distance is gigantic compared to this one from here to here, because obviously this one has all this extra in it. because this isn't lined up correctly.
Of inertia of the whole system wasn't being taken into account. So, Gary, you should like this and enjoy this, because you are one who keeps going on about how you keep finding all the details. And
Yeah, that's right. You're a despicable, lying, cheating motherfucker. Okay? If you should have just left the one mass out there, then you would be moving one mass, the same, double the velocity. All right, but no, instead you played the game. Okay, so you played this silly little game. The point is you didn't compare you're not comparing anything side by side. You're not showing anything side by side. So it clearly went way over the 2 mark, okay, and the other one only went barely over the 3 mark. So, you're just such a, you're such a cheater. So let's show it again going over the 2 line. Okay, you use the period here. It doesn't have the spring connected? Oh, okay. Oh, he's got the mass on there. Yeah, that's what we want. No, we wanted it without the mass. No, that's, yeah, with the mass. Okay. Alright, so he's saying that, well, anyway, let's not bother with that part. Come on, keep going. I don't like how he's releasing this either. He's got his whole hand on it again. He should be holding it with one finger. Alright, I don't know what he's doing now. Let's do it. Ugh. Okay, so I'm wasting our time here. Ah, never mind. Fuck. It's gotta be in there somewhere, right? He did do it, didn't he? Or did he just talk about doing it? Okay, so here he's making a mess again. I could go back to here, I suppose. Alright, so he has the 2 mass on.
And there's 2. Right.
Okay, so obviously way over the 2 line. Can you see that? That is way over the 2 line. Okay, it's not a little, it's our 2 line. No, it's way over the 2 line. Alright. Anyway, okay, so I think we're done with this anyway.
Finding all the details and everything that's wrong and everything. So, I hope you appreciate this, boy.
Yeah, whatever. It's just more shenanigans and bullshit. So hopefully the experiment will be done again in some better way, because obviously this is shit. You had to cheat and finagle. With masses that maybe don't have a flat side, so we don't have to worry about air resistance or something else changing how high they fly. But ideally, it's better to do it horizontally anyway, just to get rid of this whole flipping problem. I don't know whether flipping is worse than rolling, but obviously there's a lot of energy in flipping. Okay, so it's not a great thing. Alright, well, enough of a video and such. Let's see. Yeah, you could see that. Okay. So, till the next time and such and so forth. And it's just such bullshit. You basically verified Brozo's results. Okay? It's going twice the velocity. Half the mass, twice the distance, twice the velocity.